Welcome to the 1985 Buddy Bowl. The 9th Buddy Bowl, this one from Mariners Point. It's a beautiful day out here as Bradley's Bruisers before the first game are in the huddle. Jim Bradley telling his team, we've got to play Air Bennett, Bennett's Benny's buddies, and we got to get a good game out of everybody. The team is ready to go. And here we have Ron Miller at the 1985 Buddy Bowl introducing the players. Ron Miller says welcome, and we're about ready to go for the 1985 Buddy Bowl. But first, we're going to show you highlights from the 1985 draft held at the Point Loma Assembly 2 nights before. Here we have the captains. B.J. Clark's first pick was Irvin Cobbs. Then we have Jim Bradley, who picked Paul Tart. John Bennett, who picked Tony Ballesteri, and Andy DeMeyer, who picked Lee Hoff. Billy Bennett, who picked Brad Hobson, and Ron Miller, who picked Bruce Fisher and John McCauley. We're about ready to go for the first game between Billy Bennett and Jim Bradley, and we're about ready to go for the kickoff. Danny Fontaine is set to kick. It's a hard-hitting game out there. Watch Billy Cole in the red shirt knock Paul Tart over on the opening kickoff. With a record 8 interceptions in this game, here is the first one. A tip pass in slow motion off the hands of Paul Tart to Todd Hoff. But Paul Tart returned the favor with a great interception off Billy Bennett, the game's second interception. Todd Hoff comes in with a second interception to bring the ball closer to the goal line, and then Billy Bennett scores the opening touchdown.
Run for a touchdown. How's it feel, Bill?
Well, I like to say hi, Mom, and Merry Christmas. And it feels good out there. We're going to win. I know we're going to win this. You're going to get on me my case because I ain't won no games, but I'm going to win.
Then after a second interception, Billy Bennett gets the ball back and throws to Paul Quick for the second score to make it 12-0. Paul Quick thanked his mother for that catch. Billy Bennett gets the ball again and throws it complete to Scott Hoff. Here we'll see Scott Hoff on isolation past defender Jim Bradley. A great catch and then a good tackle by Jim Walsh. Good work by our Buddy Bowl cameraman. Billy Bennett then sees Brad Hobson, his first-round pick, for a score past Paul Tart, 18-0. And now they're lining up for the extra point. The ball is thrown and is tipped by Paul Tart, but Danny Fontaine recovers and catches it for the 2-point extra point, 20-0. Here's Jim Walsh, who's trying to come back. Helms throws a pass that is tipped by Walsh, but he holds on and catches it. There's another isolation on Jim Walsh. Let's watch that catch once again in slow motion. It seems like he doesn't have it there, but he somehow pulls it in past the defender. Good for 12 yards. Helms then used that play to keep the drive going, and he found Paul Tart alone in the end zone for the score to make it 20-6. Can they come back? Billy Bennett somehow throws it from his own 5-yard line, and Helms returns it, interception for the score to make it 20-12, but time runs out. Air Bennett wins.
Some respect back here, huh?
Hey, tough team, Jim Bradley's team out there.
They got lucky. They got lucky. That was a one.
But hey, I needed to break that
game.
record. I wanted to break that record of 7 defeats. Now I'll tell you who the pressure's on. The pressure's on Andy DeMeyer because he still hasn't won a game in 7 tries. 7, Andy. That's 7. It's on you. It's on you, and you're gonna lose.
Andy, what's the prediction?
Is there any question, Paul? This is Temple of Doom Part 2. Different game.
Let's go.
Who's out of the 50-yard line? Is this a joint captainship?
Yes. I didn't come all the way down from San Francisco
for the call.
to lose a coin toss.
Defensive captain.
But Andy DeMeyer did lose the coin toss as Tony Ballesteri, the buddies, takes the kickoff return. Newcomer John Winslow forgets its flag and tackles him. John Bennett's team had the ball early and they established the running game with John Bennett getting past the defensive line for good rushing yardage. Jeff Stress then takes the ball in a good power sweep for good yardage as he pushes Michael Riney out of the way. Bennett then abandons the run and throws long, but a good play by Paul Barrow. Incomplete. Temple of Doom Part 2 has the ball, but 2 plays gain nothing as the rush is too fierce and quarterback Brian Regalot just can't find an open receiver. The buddies now go back to their running game as John Bennett runs again, and they score the first touchdown, a 35-yard pass to Tony Ballesteri. The score is 6-0, and then after this long pass attempt, it seems like Paul Barrow can't handle the pressure. And he tackles the receiver, Mark Franklin, in the end zone. When the score is 6-0, Brian Regalot gets on the beam again. For Temple of Doom Part 2 has a fine receiver, Sean Moonen. His rookie year in the Buddy Bowl breaks open on a post pattern past defender Tony Ballesteri in front of the camera. Regalot hits him perfectly in stride with a 66-yard touchdown to tie the score, 6-6. With the tie score now, John Bennett's team has the ball again. Nearing the goal line, John Bennett looks for an open receiver. Running to his right, he escapes the grasp of John Winslow and heads to his right. Faking out the Temple of Doom Part 2 other defensive line rusher, he heads toward the left corner of the end zone, towards the Buddy Bowl cameraman. John Bennett's off to the races with John Winslow in pursuit, and Michael Riney clipped by Scott Fleming. Nearing the goal line, he meets Andy DeMeyer with a violent collision on the 1-foot line. Let's watch this play in regular action with the real sound effects. DeMeyer's play worked temporarily, but then a few plays later, Regalot throws an interception to Tony Ballesteri as Sean Moonen pulls his flag. Then on 4th down, John Bennett looks for Tony Ballesteri, and Tony catches the ball for the winning score, 12-6. John Bennett's buddies win in this tough Buddy Bowl game. Is Tony Ballesteri ever happy he made that catch?
Tony, you're on TV here, bud. Nice.
Yeah! That's right.
Now we bring you Miller's Killers versus Clark Kids. Miller's team has the ball first, and they start out a long drive with a good pass to Rick Leota for good yardage. man in motion, Miller then calls a run to his right with a good fake on this defender. Miller runs into the end zone for the score 6-0. Clark's team then gets the ball, and Brian Clark runs around left end for good yardage past rushers Dave Search and John McCauley. Clark is then pushed out of bounds by Chris Gio. Clark then finds Irvin Cobbs past Bruce Fisher in the corner of the end zone to make it 6-0. The kids get the ball back. Good rush by Bruce Fisher, and a tip of this pass by Bruce Fisher makes the ball a wounded duck for Ron Miller as he intercepts and takes the ball almost length of the field. Brian Clark catches up with him, but they're close to the goal line. Miller then finds Dave Search past defender Brian Clark, and he runs into the end zone. 12-6, Miller's Killers as they line up for the extra point. Going for two, Miller looks to his left, then runs to his right. Nobody's open, so he runs in the end zone and gets past a couple of defenders for 2 points. Behind 14-6, Brian Clark takes the ball up the field. Good blocking and a couple good holes. He gets close to the 30-yard line. A couple plays later, then Clark throws a perfect pass to Irvin Cobbs. He's open in the corner of the end zone for defender Chris Gio. Behind 14-12, they have to stop the Killers on this drive. Miller's team, for some reason, throws an incomplete pass to stop the clock. And then left-hand rusher Scott Carls applies the pressure. Ron Miller makes him throw it before he wants to. Miller throws it right to Brian Clark, and he is brought down close to the goal line. With the break they needed, Brian Clark rolls to his right, looking for his favorite receiver, Irvin Cobbs, over the middle. Throwing it over, rusher Bill Hamlin. Irvin Cobbs catches the ball over the middle and just barely makes it over the goal line. Watch David Orion miss his flag right here. Good block on Ron Miller by Randy Luce paves the way for Irvin Cobbs as he goes over the goal line. With a successful extra point, the score is now 20-14 in favor of the kids as Ron Miller throws a pass long in the end zone on the last play of the game, but the ball is incomplete. 20-14, the kids beat the Miller's Killers, which is the Killers' first loss at Mariners Point. Now we have Miller's Killers versus Air Bennett. And Todd Hoff takes the kickoff return, 31 yards. Here comes the tough end sweep by Billy Bennett's team. Watch linebacker David Orion get creamed by a couple of blockers. Oh, right there. Good for the first down. But Miller's team gets the ball back. Miller rolls to his right and sees a wide open Brad Black, good for 77 yards and a touchdown. 6-0. And then as time runs out in the game, with the great Killer defense holding Air Bennett scoreless, Miller finds Gustafson for another TD to make the final score 12-0. Like missing your first Buddy Bowl in 5 years. It's nice to win, but it's when
I don't know. It's really detrimental to my. It's terrible.
I feel like a piece out of my life is missing, not being able to play in the Buddy Bowl. Life isn't the same. We brought a 33, so in case we get too depressed, we'll just go over into the over to the rocks over there and just.
But what about next year? Any plans for next year?
Well,
we'll be back. We'll be back because
I think there's a definite possibility that we can be back. We're going to work on the off season a whole lot, and just see if we can come back and win some more trophies.
Well, good luck. After Roy Carls and Rich's Wright's interview explaining why they missed the Buddy Bowl for the first time in 5 years, we have probably one of the most exciting finishes in Buddy Bowl history with Clark's Kids and Bradley's Bruisers. We'll show you the first couple touchdowns here as Clark first runs around right end to make the score 8-0. Dave Helmsen takes the ball and also goes around right end to tie the score at 8-8. Brian Clark then sees Mark Albrecht open in the right corner of the end zone to make the score 14-8. After this is 2 more scores, leading up to one of the fantastic finishes in Buddy Bowl history. Behind by 6 points, Dave Helm starts a drive with a good block by Nick Photius. Jim Walsh catches the ball to bring them close to the goal line. Only 30 seconds are left. With 8 seconds left now, Helms rolls to his right, then throws left to a wide open Jeff Miller with no time on the clock to tie the score 20-0. Here we have the original sound of the winning extra point by Bradley's Bruisers. Oh, clutch, no time left.
Look, it's gonna steal Bird out here. Hey, who's our corner?
For the game. 21-20. Bradley's taking. After that exciting 21-20 win by Bradley's Bruisers, we have Clark's Kids versus John Bennett's Benny's Buddies to see who plays Miller's Killers in the '85 championship. John Bennett takes the ball back. And now on the first play sees Brian Walsh, whose only catch of the day. Some poor flag tackling, and Brian Walsh takes advantage of it and goes the whole way, 74 yards for the touchdown, 6-0. Bennett then finds a wide open Dina Sorrow for the extra point. 1 point this time, 7-0 in favor of John Bennett's Buddies. Brian Clark then goes around right end again for good yardage. Clark then sees his favorite receiver, Irvin Cobb's pass defender, Mark Franklin, for the score. He got both feet in. 7-6, and now for the all-important extra point. Behind good protection, Brian Clark looks for a receiver. The ball is thrown, it's in the air, complete to Cobbs again for 2 points, 8-7. But it's all downhill from now on for Clark's Kids. Great sack by Buddy Bowl veteran John Benedict coming up. Watch this dive for Brian Clark's flag. Benedict got him, and it's all downhill for Clark's Kids. Cobbs and goes back to pass and throws an interception to Tony Ballesteri. Behind by a point, John Bennett looks for Ballesteri again and makes a fine catch over the middle. Mark Albrecht there with the tackle. Then John Bennett finds a wide open Dina Sorrow again in the corner of the end zone. The score is now 13-8. Clark's Kids couldn't move it, so John Bennett's team gets the ball back in Clark's territory. This time in slow motion, we'll see John Bennett run around left end, but Irvin Cobbs barely gets the flag at the 1 yard line. Good play by Irvin right there to get the flag. Ahead 13-8, they look for the Klitzing touchdown, but John Bennett's throw is incomplete. Then Clark's Kids make a comeback. The answer is no, because Clark throws it right to Scott Fleming for an easy touchdown. Fleming's interception return makes the score 19-8, and John Bennett's team has earned the right to play Miller's Killers in the '85 Buddy Bowl Championship. Trying to make the score look respectable, Brian Clark throws a long pass in the waning seconds of the game. But his pass is intercepted by John Bennett, and John Bennett almost makes it all the way to the goal line for another score. Watch this great run. Seems like Bennett's on his way to a score, but he runs out of gas. Mark Ring finally brings him down after Bennett falls over. Final score, 19-8, John Bennett's buddies. His flag is finally pulled. Now we have Ron Miller's team versus DeMeyer's Temple of Doom with an easy victory. But Ron Miller's center needs a little work. But somehow Ron got the ball back to throw a completion to Rick Leota for short yardage. With seconds left and the score 28-6, the second stringers are in for the mop-up job as backup quarterback Chris Giel for the Killers throws to David Ryan for the score to make the final score 34-6. It's Miller's Killers versus John Bennett's buddy in the '85 championship game. The first half is rather dull, but a great defensive play livens up the action as John Bennett tips the ball away from Rick Leota. Let's watch that on a slow, isolated camera. Late in the second half, Ron Miller goes back to pass with the score still 0-0 and finds past defender Brian Wallace Bruce Fisher at the 5-yard line. What a great catch. Ron Miller's team will not be denied as Miller goes to his right, throws, and finds one of his favorite receivers, Dave Search, open in the end zone. The score is 6-0 in favor of Miller's Killers. There is time left for one drive, and John Bennett's team makes the most of it. Here in slow motion, after the first few plays of this drive, Bennett will find receiver Mark Marconi open for a good gain, despite the height. Then from the Killer 30-yard line, John Bennett, in one of the most controversial plays of the day, will find his favorite receiver open in the left corner of the end zone, Mark Franklin. You see Franklin running past the screen there, and he'll throw to him on a down and out. Bennett barely gets the ball over McCauley's outstretched hands, and Franklin has beaten the defender. Watch Franklin's right foot. This is how close the Buddy Bowl championship was for the Buddies, right there. He is out of bounds on the 1-foot line. It is second down. Bennett then tries a run, but a good play by Chris Giel loses a yard. It's third down from the line. Rusher John McCauley then blocks this pass. It is now down to one play for the Buddy Bowl championship. Fourth down from the line. Rolling to his right, Bennett is looking for Marconi on a down and out. Bennett's pass goes off Marconi's hands. With little time left, it's the Killers game in this 85 Buddy Bowl Championship, 6-0. Ron Miller hands the trophies to the winning team. You see John McCauley there with the trophy. Ron Miller congratulating other members of his team. There is Scotty Evans. We saw Bruce Fisher there. We see Rick Leota there. Jim Bradley in the background. Brad Black with his first Buddy Bowl trophy. And Dave Search made a couple key catches to leading the Killers to the 85 championship. David Ryan gets a trophy. And Bruce Fisher. Chris Gio. And then Ron Miller, captain of the 85 Buddy Bowl champions, Miller's Killers.